everybody, and welcome back to the Fitness Network podcast. So we haven't done a little episode in a while, but today I have a very exciting guest on in the form of Will George, and we are going to talk about how he's progressed in bodybuilding so far, and tips on how to build an epic body. So Will, give us a little intro on yourself.
Yo guys, what's going on? So I'm 24 years old. I'm a heavyweight bodybuilder and an online physique specialist. I've been bodybuilding since June 2015, literally 10 stone wet through when I started. And I now compete as a heavyweight, and I'm 13 weeks out, 13 weeks, 6 days.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so how did you first get into bodybuilding?
So I used to be a BMX rider. I did BMXing for like probably 5 or 6 years at quite a high level, but I was never going to be good enough to like turn pro or anything like that. Like where I come from, it's very limited. So I knew that I wouldn't be crazy out there, you know, and I was young as well. Maybe if I was a little bit older and hadn't the knowledge that I do now, but at the time I just wasn't going anywhere with it. And I actually came off my bike and I injured my shoulder. And I joined a CrossFit gym because I couldn't ride my bike 100%. And I thought that CrossFit was bodybuilding.
Love it.
I did CrossFit for like probably 6 to 8 months. And then my friend messaged me, and he was actually taking a mick out of CrossFit, you know, like they do. And I was like, I am bodybuilding, like I'm doing CrossFit. And I remember being outside, there's a butcher's next to the CrossFit, you know. And I just remember seeing some huge guy go in there, get a load of chicken or whatever. And like, have you ever done CrossFit, Rosie?
No, I've seen it. The top level is really impressive.
Yeah, like it's hard on a different level than bodybuilding, and it's so intense. And they call them like WODs, workout of the day. And I remember being halfway through a WOD, seeing this guy going to the butcher's to get his food, and he was stacked. And I just looked and I thought, he ain't doing this, you know. So, yeah, my best mate contacted me, got in the gym with him. I just fell in love with it. I remember going back to my mum after I first been to the gym, like, yeah, we did this and we did that, and look how pumped I am, and yeah, I feel amazing.
Did she laugh at you, or did she take it seriously?
Nah, my mum's like proper. I feel like even if she wasn't interested, she'd be like, yeah, we'll go. Tell me more. Tell me about your shoulder.
Yeah, my mum's like that. Okay, so was there any bodybuilders that kind of inspired you when you started?
So they're gonna have a massive smile on their face when I say this, but Jace, obviously who I work with now, Rob, who I work for, I think Rob and Jace were sort of at the top of their game, sort of coming up. So from a local perspective, Jace and Rob were sort of the guys that I was heading towards and I wanted to sort of achieve. But in terms of just overall, have you ever seen like Machiavelli motivation videos?
Yeah.
So I was a sucker for watching them when I'm eating my food 24/7. So like Dorian Yates, Phil Heath, like obviously Dorian Yates, UK guys. So Hollingshead and that wasn't really in the picture at the time, or they weren't in the camera as such, on videos as such. So it was more sort of Dorian and all the guys in the motivational videos I looked up to, you know. Yeah.
Has that changed, or would you say those are still the people that inspire you?
Jason Rob will probably pay me to say something right now. Yeah, like I broadened my sort of knowledge in terms of bodybuilding and business now, so I'm a lot more business minded. So Jason Rob, although Jason doesn't currently compete, Rob doesn't currently compete. Like from a business perspective, obviously I work for both of them. Like their business knowledge sort of blows my mind still. So and obviously their knowledge in general, which is all hooked up to bodybuilding. But in terms of sort of inspiration from a pro level, like probably the same. You know what this industry is like you've like, especially as a male, like you're gonna be working for years. So those boys are still grafting, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah.
Okay. This is a question that I ask everyone, and it's really interesting because I do get different answers. So there's like no right or wrong answer, but what do you think, in your opinion, is the most important thing to do well in this sport? Like, do you think it's genetics? I mean, doing well, you know, right through to the top level. Do you think it is like a work ethic, coachability?
I'm going to go down like going to find a loophole and say sort of all of them. Like, I think genetics has got a part to play, but genetics is going to do very little if you haven't got the work ethic. So I'd say work ethic commitment, accountability is going to get you that. That's the thing that's going to start you off. Yeah. And then obviously genetics carry certain people, but you'll almost find that, let's take Phil Heath and Ronnie Coleman out of the picture for a minute. Like, you'll always find that, like Jay Cutler, for example, Dorian Yates, like, yeah, they had sufficient genetics, but they weren't like best of the best. And obviously their work ethic and commitment carried them through. So yeah, I would say probably work ethic and commitment. Like me, for example, like my genetics, I'd say I'm fairly lucky in my genetics, but at the same time, like, they're not outstanding, and yet my work ethic carries me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why there's so many good businessmen that have been bodybuilders, because it's just, they've applied the same, you know, as they did for their bodybuilding.
With me, mate, honestly, like, business is something I obviously got into this past few years, and obviously, like, it's the work ethic through that, because I'm willing to stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning to sort business out. Like, that's not new to me. Whereas a lot of people, even if they're self-employed, let's say, for example, come 5 o'clock, the boxes are ticked, they're done. It doesn't matter whether it's not finished. It's 5 o'clock, it's Friday, they want to go out and party. Like, there's no, like, you know, Rosie, like, obviously we're mates such, people don't know, obviously we're mates outside.
I don't know myself. No, I don't.
You know how we work, and like, there's no fucking off switch, is there? Like, it's constant. And that's what me and you like towards business as well. And without sounding like, well, it's just confidence. Like, that's why we're successful at what we do, because we have the ability to, no matter what the weather, no matter like how good like certain aspects of life are, it's irrelevant. We shut off emotion and get the work done, you know?
Yeah, I think, but that's because there's you know, there's a passion behind it, and then it's like you just know that if you're not 100% every day, you just don't get there.
You can't have days off.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast earlier, actually, and they were saying about the reason a lot of guys do sort of struggle when they're gaining muscle is because they work their ass off Monday to Friday, but then they have the weekend off. You can't have the weekend off.
No.
Like bodybuilding, it's the way I explain something, it's like not dropping body fat or gaining muscle, but to be a pro bodybuilder or a successful bodybuilder, successful amateur, got to have the ability. It's like a child. You need to give it constant attention. You need feeding every 2 hours. You need everything. You know?
Yeah, I get it.
Not I have any kids, we'll just verify that.
Okay, so as a bodybuilder and a professional coach, how would you describe a typical day for you, if there is a kind of typical day?
Prep or off season?
Oh, hit us with both.
To be fair, they're quite similar. So depending on what time I train, prep, as you know, obviously your food's slow, you've got peds running through you, you're very much in tune with the end goal. So with prep, it's very much like, depending on what time I wake up, if I go to bed the previous night at, let's say, 7, 8 o'clock, which isn't unusual on prep, you know damn right you're getting up at 4, 5 in the morning, you know. So 4, 5, but the way I explain it is, in off season you've got a battery that lasts you 24 hours. In prep, that battery lasts you 3 or 4 hours. So the minute you awake is the minute that the time on that battery starts ticking. So you've got that 3 or 4 hours until that runs out. So for me to recharge that battery is sleep. I sleep during the day a lot, you know. So in prep, I sort of wake up, eat my food, do my client work. I like to train before I do my cardio when I'm doing prep, purely for the fact that I don't want anything hindering training. And it sounds stupid, but if you're on the stairs, you want to take the piss at me because I'm not on the stairs, I'm on the treadmill at the moment. So if I'm on the treadmill for 40, 50 minutes, then at the end of the day, it's expenditure that may affect my training. So I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Like fast, if I have to do fasted cardio, obviously it's going to be a lot different. I try and keep cardio away from training just so it doesn't have any effect whatsoever. So I wake up, do client work throughout the day, go train at a certain point in the day, and then I sleep. When I'm in prep, probably I'll probably nap like once or twice a day, probably 45, 50 minutes. That's all, you know, and then straight back to the day. So my life. With off season or prep, it's pretty much wake, eat, sleep, train, client work. That's it. In the off season, I'm a bit more lenient with not going out, for example, because I don't drink or like go out and party or whatever. That's just not my thing, you know. I'm a lot more lenient with like family events, etc. You know.
Yeah.
So it's as boring as it is: eat, sleep, train, client, work.
Two naps a day is not a bad life.
But obviously, when it sounds glamorous, but when you're stuffing down that much food in the off season, like you're so lethargic. Like I actually messaged Jace. I think I said to you, I messaged Jace like this past off season just gone, and I messaged him. I think it was mid lockdown as well. And I said, mate, I'm gonna have to go to the doctors, man. I said, I don't know what's wrong with me, man. I'm sleeping so much. She's like, Will, you're on 5,500 calories, mate. Like it's not normal because they just imagine if you go and eat a massive roast dinner at a family member's and go and have a massive slice of cheesecake and whatever. Like afterwards, like you're just tired, aren't you? You just want to sleep. It's like I don't know about you. Obviously, you haven't had like a heavy off season, have you? But with me, like, and obviously I'm naturally 10 stone wet through, so it has its effect. Like eating that much food, everyone's like, oh yeah, I could eat that much food. Yeah, you might be able to for 1 or 2 days, but 8 months, give it a try. You know, it knocks you out.
Do you have minimal cardio in off season as well? Like, do you still do cardio every day or not?
You say you laugh at me.
Yeah, no, because I'm intrigued because different coaches, you know, will prescribe different things. So
I think my cardio went down to 15 minutes in the off season, and it's purely for the sake of obviously if my stage weight was like 92 kilos and I'm sat at 110 in the off season, when you gain 18 kilos, that it does happen in a couple of months, and you obviously got to keep your heart in check. You've got to keep everything in check. So it's more from a health perspective. Like most of my clients, if they're not heavy and they're in the off season, their cardio is minimal. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
They're just getting on the treadmill.
Okay. Okay. And what advice would you give? I mean, this is what we wanted to cover: is somebody who is looking to gain muscle. Just generally, like, you know, overall gain muscle. What kind of tips would you give them?
I did a video on this on Instagram today, so I'm going to use the same one. It's like I've worked in a gym for years. You know, I've seen like me and you trained on the weekend. Well, the other day, for example, like I look around the gym and I'm like, you can see people doing it wrong, and you can see people overcomplicating it. Obviously, you're not their coach, so you can't do anything about it. But so I would just say is number one. We live in a world right now where everyone wants to overthink work ethic. Everyone wants to outsmart work ethic, outthink it. At the end of the day, like it's awesome to be textbook. It's awesome to be thorough, but you're not going to outthink work ethic. Do you know what I mean? Like, so just keep it simple. When you first start training, don't do crazy splits. Don't get a load of bands. Don't do all this accessory work that there's no need. Just get as strong as you can with decent form over a couple of decent rep ranges. Let's say, for example, you know how we train, for example, like maybe one working set at, let's say, 6 to 12 reps, maybe a little bit higher than 6 reps. Because obviously when you first start training, like risk to benefit ratio from low reps is a little bit higher. So probably get strong and let's say like 6 to 12 reps. That's your first working set, for example. And then second working set like 12 to 15, 12 to 20, you know, that way you're getting strong. Like the 3 sets of 10, like, yeah, it works, of course it does, but we've moved on from that, you know. So we wanna use rep ranges and sets where we can get strong over 2 rep ranges rather than 1. There's no point getting like 12 reps on a certain weight 3 times over. Yeah, of course it does. But if we can be that little bit more specific, but at the same time, like I said, not overcomplicating it, that's obviously what we're going to do. So a couple of sets, and then just the second point, and the thing I said in the Instagram video was make sure you're logging your lifts. Again, if you go into the gym and you train chest last Monday, and you come in and train chest this Monday, and you're using a different bit of kit for your first exercise, a different rep range for your first exercise, then you don't know from a gym perspective for the weights that you're lifting if you are progressing. If you bench press 60 kilos for 10 reps 1 week, and then you come and you bench 60 kilos for 11 or 12 reps the next week, you know it's written down on paper that you are progressing at a decent manner. Whereas if you come in with your mates chatting left, right and centre, have a 3-minute rest break one week, have a 1-minute rest break another, 1 week you might be doing flat bench press, next week you might be doing a machine, the next week you forgot what you did for the first place, you might start off with a fly. You need to be logging everything. Same with the food, everything needs to be logged. And the third biggest mistake I see, and the biggest advice I'd see is, I'm 10 stone wet through naturally, okay? if I didn't get my head down and eat a lot of food, I would not be here today. And I'm not talking like 4 or 5 meals. Yeah, I'm not hungry anymore. I'm talking like not, and I'm not saying everyone has to take it to this extreme level, but for me, it was like, no, like a partner at the time, she'd go into Tesco, I'd sit in the car park eating my food because it was an extra 10 minutes I get my meals in. Staying up till 1, 2 in the morning, no problem, you know. But if you don't want to take it to that extreme, I would still say make sure you are sat in a sufficient calorie surplus. Being in a surplus of 100 calories is going to do nothing for someone 10 stone wet through, you know. Don't be afraid to eat either. Calculate it, write it out. There's your food, there's your training, and every single week analyze it. Right, have we gained weight this week? Yes or no? If we haven't, food needs to push up, output needs to come down a little bit. And again, same with training. If you've stalled on an exercise, right, I've done flat bench press for 8 weeks and I've been sat at a weight for 3 weeks straight. Right, that needs to change. We've maxed that out. We can come back to that in the future. But for now, we need to take that out. So just constantly analyzing. That's why, even if you're not coached at a certain age, because I wasn't always coached, you know, do check-ins with yourself. 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, take pictures of yourself every morning, you know. Put them side by side. Am I progressing? Be honest with yourself, because I guarantee you, and I did exactly the same thing. When I first started training, I never took progress pictures apart from maybe like a front lat spread in the gym in the mirror, you know. Look at me, my best, you know, look at me for Instagram. But a true, honest reflection, Rosie, you know what it's like. Sit there with your tripod, you hit your shots, and the first time you do that, you're probably not going to be holding as much muscle mass as you think.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be about, right, I need to work. And if you can give yourself a true reflection on a weekly basis, then you can fine tune everything. Whereas if you haven't got, it's like business. Let's say you run a successful company and you've got loads of people working for you. If you don't have a team meeting and come in together and brainstorm and analyze together and work out what you're going to do forward, that business isn't going to be successful. Same with the check-ins. If you don't come in once a week, twice a week, analyze, right, what do I need to change? And then we go back out and incorporate what we're changing. That's what's going to make us progress. You know, we've got to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. When you were saying about exercise selection, and say, like you said, you hit one and then you plateau on that and you can't seem to progress it anymore, what would you then suggest to somebody to change that exercise?
So it obviously, so just for people that don't know, obviously I've just come from the Isle of Wight. I moved up to Kent. LRF has got all the equipment in the world. Where I was, it doesn't, okay? So we might have had a leg press, a Smith machine, a barbell. That's it. There was no like 4 or 5 leg presses back to back.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to think a little bit outside the box. So I would go, right, a normal squat, then I might go a Smith squat, then I might go a closed stance squat. So yeah, exactly what you said. So if you run an exercise for 3 weeks and you don't progress on it, at the end of the day, there's probably going to be something wrong. When you select an exercise and it's fresh stimulus, like I trained legs yesterday with Luke, my training partner at LRF, and we did pendulum squats, we did hat squats. And I know next week when we do those again, it's fresh stimulus. The first time you ride a bike here, you're going to be wobbly. The next time you ride it, you're not. You're going to progress every time. So if you're not getting stronger on an exercise within the first couple of weeks, there's probably something not right that you need to iron out.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, just to go back to blabbering on, you know, yes, exchange it. So if you've been doing an exercise for 12 weeks and let's say 3 weeks, you stalled the same way, the rep range needs to change, the rest period needs to change, the amount of sets, the amount of volumes, the amount of frequency of that exercise, or just change the whole exercise. But on the same point, don't change it when it's not necessary.
Yeah. If it's still progressing, it doesn't need to change.
Exactly. So you want to maximize everything in bodybuilding. So you want to maximize the amount of food you're on before you push it up. You want to maximize the food that you're on when you're dieting down before you pull it down. Same with cardio. You want to lift as much as you can with good form and a good pace before you start pushing that up. So there's no need to take an exercise out just because you're only 1 rep up or only a kilo up. It's irrelevant. Progressive overload is progressing the load over a prolonged period of time. Whether that load is 1 kilogram or 40 kilos, you're progressing, you know?
Yeah, of course. And then also going back to the food, when you were saying about increasing it, and obviously you are looking for your kind of body weight to go up, but what would you say to someone, say they don't have a coach, like they've worked out their base calories, then what would you say increase, like would be a rough increase?
I would work out your base calories. It depends where you're at previously. I'm a little bit specific, so if they were already on a decent amount of food, so at the end of the day, no matter where you work out your food, we've had this conversation, Rosie, it doesn't matter what app you use, what technique you use, the amount of food that's calculated is not going to be exact. So your maintenance calories are not always going to maintain your weight. Okay, everyone's different. So what I would say is work out your maintenance calories. And let's say add 200, 300 calories to that, depending on a lot of aspects, but roughly 200-300 calories, and then run it for a week. Don't run it for a day and like, I'll have gained weight. Run it for a week. Like, go back to the check-ins, analyze. Just get obsessed with analyzing on a weekly basis, a couple of times a week. Right, I've been on that food for a week and I've dropped a pound. Okay, then you've probably underestimated the amount of food you need. Up it by 200 calories, wait a week. Oh, cool, I'm 2 pounds up, I'm on the right track. Right, that's the amount of food that needs to keep you at that amount of weight. Now you've got your maintenance calories in real life, not just on paper. Now you push, And it's not all about calories, You might, obviously it's about calories, but that overall food in front of you, you might not even know the amount of calories. That amount of rice, that amount of chicken, etc., will keep you at that weight. Right, let's add 30 grams of this, let's add 20 grams of that. And you just goes on,
Yeah. I was going to ask something else now. I've totally forgotten what that was. I know what it was. Okay, so one thing that people really like, they say this is probably more, I'd say, for girls than guys, but they say, I want to put on muscle, but I don't want to bulk. I want to stay lean, right?
I hate the word bulk.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, people are still back in that mindset. So what would you say to somebody at that? Say they're trying to maintain a leanish body fat, but gain muscle.
It's going to be slow.
Yeah.
But the leaner you want to stay, the slower it's going to be. Can it happen? Yeah, of course. You sit yourself in a mild surplus, it creeps up. Yeah. Will it happen as quick? No, of course it won't. However, some people might be happy with that. You might take one person that goes to the gym 5 days a week. Right, I just want to gain a bit of muscle. I want to gain 5 pounds of muscle over the space of a year, 2 years. I'm going to sit myself in a 200 calorie surplus for this amount of time. 2 years down the line, they're 5 pounds up. They're still relatively lean. Awesome. But obviously, from a bodybuilding perspective, it's right, let's push. But from a lifestyle perspective, I've got those people. But it's usually those people that want to do that they lack patience. Oh, cool. Like, I'm up a pound in 2 weeks, but I don't feel big. It's like, yeah, mate, you're not going to, bro. It's uncomfortable. It's a sport where we want what we can't always have. And to enable us to get to something, just like a lot of aspects of life, to enable us to push forward and get from A to B, in between, it's just not straightforward. And we're going to have to make some sacrifices. And when that comes to bodybuilding, like we spoke about the other day, Rosie, like being soft, like I don't like being soft. Do you know what I mean? When you've been 5% body fat, 8% body fat feels fluffy, It's still fluffy. I hate that word as well. I don't know where that came from, but
it's relative, isn't it? Yeah, because like sometimes people will come and say, I want to do a competition. I just want to be slim. And I think, okay.
Best advice. Go on.
No, I worry because I think that once you've seen yourself stage lean, it's very, very hard to ever go back because you've been that lean in you. It's not a normal, livable leanness, but it's like people then feel massive all the time.
If you earn a certain amount of money for a month and then you suddenly get a 7-8 grand pay rise for that a couple of months in a row and then go back down, you don't want that, do you? You want what you had previously. Just like any other aspects, you don't want to downgrade your phone or downgrade your car. Do you know what I mean? Like, which brings me to the next thing that I was going to say. Like, I say this, lifestyle clients a little bit harder, but when you're competitive, every aspect you look at it, whether it's off-season prep, whatever you're doing, the best advice I can give you is pull emotion out of it completely. And that is easier said than done. Because when you're looking in the mirror, I used to be driven by emotion when it came to progress. So I'd look in the mirror at 18, 19 stone and be like, oh, horrific. But I don't care now because it's part of the process and it's a strength to pull emotion out of it. It's just like, cool. And again, look at other aspects of like prep example. You have a row with your partner, cool, don't care. In the gym, emotions cut. Like, yeah, I'm not saying that's the healthiest thing in the world, but when you get to this level and you want to progress, emotions have got to be pulled out. Like, I've got like Rosie, you're laughing, you know. Have you watched Pumping Iron? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, how many times?
Quite a few.
So obviously I watched that a million times over, yeah. And he says about his car getting stolen or something.
Yeah.
Or yeah, and he's just like, I'll just go in the gym and it's cool. So me and a previous partner, we laugh about it now because we're good mates, you know. And when I was with her, I started my bodybuilding sort of journey, and I was so just absolutely obsessed, you know. And on the way to the gym, pre-worked out my face and like pulling up to a junction, I was just too close to a car. And I remember saying in my head, like, you know, you've got to have a word with yourself, like, and I was like, Will, like, you need to slow down a little bit, or you need to pull back a little bit. And anyway, went around this traffic lights, and this car had stopped to let another car go, and I just went straight into the back of them. And I remember sitting in that car thinking, oh, the mate in front of me is not really, you can't even tell that I've crashed into him. So I was like, my car's going to be cool. Anyway, I stepped out and the whole front end of my car was just ruined. And it was a write-off, you know. But my point was, I drove my car to the car park that was close to the gym that I worked at, trained at that time. And called my partner at the time, and I was just like, dude, because I was like 18 or 17, like 17 probably, 18 first started training, you know. And I was just like, whatever you do, I was like, I've crashed my car. Do not tell my mum and dad, because I'll tell them later. And I said, I'm going to go train. I'm going to put my phone down for 2 hours. I'm going to go train, and I'll speak to you later. And obviously, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not normal. If someone crashes their car, their whole day's on hold. But again, emotion cut. I'm at the gym. I can't get back to that gym. I've not got a car now.
Yeah. Some I don't know if you follow Sleewell, but he did a very good post on this the other night and was saying, when you have a goal like we do, where you're so passionate about it, like, you know, being better every day and being better when you step on stage, and, you know, aiming for something like a pro card, it's so hard, like you said, to take the emotion out of it, because you are so in it, and then you over analyze everything because your heart is so in it. That's the point when you need a coach, because otherwise you will just go totally, you know, off your rocker, really.
You're the same as me, mate. I've seen your work. I've seen your clients. You are a fantastic coach, okay? I'm a decent coach. Can I coach myself? Yeah, of course I could. Of course I could. Would I coach myself? Never. I'll be asking you to coach me before I coach myself, you know? So yeah, he's right. You need a coach in place, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you do, because it's just, I think you would almost derail yourself because you are so trying to do the right thing, and in doing the right thing because you love it, you've almost done the wrong thing. But yeah, I absolutely agree.
Again, if you're coached at a decent level, you usually pull emotion out of it. If I'm your client, Rosie, and I'm like, oh, I want to do extra cardio, and your mind's just on overdrive about doing this extra cardio, and then you say, no, Will, you're not doing extra cardio, job done, you've made that decision for me. I've got no emotion, I've got no personal emotions to it. At the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, I've had friends, you know what it's like in this industry, mate. You have friends come to you, oh, my coach has said this, my coach said that. One, if you are paying for your coach, you listen to no one but that coach. Yeah. And again, Sleevell, is it? That guy? Yeah. Yes. So he put a video up the other day. I've watched quite a few of his, really good at the moment.
Yeah, he's great.
And I'm sure he said something along the lines of, unless someone's in danger, let them be coached. They're paying for a service. There's a million ways to skin a cat. Like, no one is right. Everyone does stuff differently. Do you know what I mean? I'm watching people doing the same show as me, and I'm like, they're still pushing food. I've started prep. Doesn't matter. No. this way, they're coached another. So yeah, you're totally right. Just stay in your own lane, you know.
Oh, and absolutely. And if anyone ever comments on that, they don't know your history, they don't know what your goals are, they don't know what your physique is, you know, they wouldn't know maybe if you have any, like what your relationship with food is like, any of those things. And all those things is between you and your coach. So
People,
you know.
yeah, mate, people like relevance, don't they? Like if I've got one of your clients, Rosie, like, and they came up to me and said this, that, and the other, like, mate, just follow what Rosie said. Like, not ever relevant. If someone walks up to someone but, oh, by the way, you should be doing this, and that person goes, oh yeah, maybe I should, then that person that come over and given them information is now relevant. People like to be relevant. It's like anything. If you've got a relationship and someone else gets involved and someone said this and someone says this, if you don't care and you push it to their side, then it doesn't matter, does it? But if you start taking that in, that person then becomes relevant when they're not needed to be relevant. And people like relevance. You know what it's like obviously as bodybuilders, we're naturally driven, we naturally mind our own business, just get on with it. Yeah. But not everyone's like that. Some people like to get in other people's business, especially with coaching, etc. And the minute you listen to it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point actually. No, you've got a coach, you pay for that coach. Don't get me wrong. If I had a client said, oh, Will, so-and-so said this, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with being like, oh, Will, mate, he said this. Like, should I be doing that? As a coach, I'm paid to be the people like, no, mate, because we're doing it this way and we're doing it that way. That's why we're doing it this way. And explain it. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But as a client, stick to what your coach says. That's it. Doesn't matter what anyone else is doing.
Because also, if you start listening to these people and do something that's off plan, how does your coach then know that something worked or didn't work? And how would you know either whether it worked or didn't work? So
at the end of the day, sorry, mate.
Sorry, go on.
I've got limited playing cards to play with. Okay, if you do 1 minute extra cardio, you're not adhering to plan. Yeah. If you have an extra gram of chicken, I've been with people in the same room. They're like, yeah, like I didn't do well at this, but I did have an extra this amount of food. It's just like, that's cheating. It doesn't matter whether you had an extra 10 grams of salad, mate. Yeah. Like, that's not adhering to plan. Yeah. In a lifestyle perspective, of course, it's different. Like with my clients, if they check in with me on the Tuesday and then on the Wednesday suddenly something springs up, it's if their niece's birthday and they've got to go to a party and they've completely forgot about it and they have an off meal, that's cool. We'll clear it up on the weekend, mate. We'll just, that few days is just going to get back down to that maintenance weight. It's no problem. But if you've got a date to be a certain way, certain size, certain weight, then you're not adhering to that 1 minute extra cardio. Oh yeah, I've done more than follow plan. I've done an extra 2 minutes cardio. No.
Well, okay, so say someone is a lifestyle client and they're wanting to gain muscle. How do they fit that into their life? Because obviously, if we're going to compete, we know that every aspect matters, and that matters that we get enough sleep. That matters that our digestion is perfect. It matters, you know, all of these little things matter. But if somebody is trying to fit that into a busy life, how would you suggest to them to go about it?
So obviously we sit them in a surplus anyway. At the end of the day, if someone's a lifestyle client and they're looking to gain muscle, 9 times out of 10 people like eating, you know, like you ask anyone, everyone says, oh yeah, I'm a foodie. Like we're all enjoying eating food. I mean, like you rarely get someone who's just like, I just hate eating, I can't stand it. Like it's not like everyone thinks they're a foodie. Like we all eat, it's natural, you know? Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you're feeding someone up who's a lifestyle client and their calories aren't probably going to be ridiculous because they might sit an office job, they don't want to be a heavy bodybuilder, they just want to gain a bit of muscle, you know? So sit them in a sufficient surplus, and 9 times out of 10, their appetite's going to be in a decent place because their food's not ridiculously high. Like my guys, a lot of my guys, you know, same sort of scenario. Yeah. And 1 off meal a week for the weekend, and then if they have to, when we're gaining muscle, it's not going to do a massive amount of damage. If their body composition is slipping, then yeah, of course, we might say, look, this Saturday, are you okay not to have that off meal? Have you got any events on Saturday? Because we've got to remember, we're working with lifestyle clients. Like with us, if we go to a wedding and we can't have like the food, then with us, it doesn't matter. Again, we pulled emotion out. But for the guy that just wants to gain a little bit of muscle and it's his best mate who's known for 20 years, they don't want to sit there in 10 years' time and be like, oh yeah, I didn't eat that cake because I wanted bigger biceps. Like, they don't want to do that. So I'm quite relaxed with my sort of program in terms of gaining muscle. If we eat a little bit over, then the likelihood is when food should be pushed up, it might not be. Do you know what I mean? That would be unhealthy if you're a bodybuilder, an unhealthy relationship. But if we're in a lifestyle and you've eaten 300 calories extra than you should have done, and your weight's gone up a little bit and we're in a gaining phase anyway, I might have pushed your food up 300-400 calories anyway. So we'll leave it for another few days, see where your body goes, and then we'll go from there. So like little calorie surplus, nothing too crazy, and then just gauge it from there. And again, drinking, stuff like drinking with lifestyle clients, like, yeah, of course, like a lot of people like to be like, right, if we're drinking on the Friday, on the Thursday, our food's gonna be like this. And it's not a wrong approach. There's no wrong approach in this game. But for me, I would much rather say, look, go and have a drink, because at the end of the day, mate, if they're getting pissed up with their mates, they're not going to be sat there like, right, I've got to have 200 mil of this and 200 mil of that. Like, so I'd much rather they go out, enjoy themselves, and be like, right, Will, I got absolutely smashed on the weekend. I don't have a clue what I drank. Right, cool, let's do your check-in. Let's see where you're at. And then we can gauge it. The damage is done, and then we can sort of gauge what we're going to do to move forward. Like, for me, with a lifestyle client, I'm not going to cut their calories for 4 days before they go and have a drink. Like, for me, it's just not the way I do stuff. I would much rather, obviously it's different when it comes to a diet phase, etc. But if they just gain a deep muscle mass, like, and if they go for a few pints with their mate, we're just assessing the next check-in. Same as if something cropped up, like we said about like niece's birthday, or whatever. If it suddenly crops up, then go and do it, and then afterwards we just assess it. Like, you're not going to do a massive amount of damage by one evening or whatever, you know.
And what would you say that they can still progress if they could only train something like 3 days a week?
Million percent. I like, at the end of the day, I like, probably same with you, Rosie. I've coached so many people during lockdown with a set of bands that can train 3 days a week. Like, in a fat loss phase, at the end, let's be honest, Rosie, like, textbook, you can sit on a sofa, sit yourself in a deficit, eating pizza. As long as you're in a deficit, mate, you're dropping body fat. Real.
Yeah, it's true.
Obviously, that's not the way we do it, of course. But my point is expenditure, input, like, in and out. That's it. You've just got to balance that. And is it gonna be okay? Lockdown's a different story. At the end of the day, mate, we've just done a lockdown for like a year or whatever. Like, you can train 3 days a week with a set of bands and gain muscle, mate. You can do anything.
Superman. Okay, so going forwards, what are your kind of future goals going forward? In everything, we want to know what you want to do.
Have you got 2 hours? So in terms of bodybuilding, obviously I competed last year. We did a novice class, the beginners class, heavyweight class, and then a tall novice class. The one that I was most obviously concerned about was the open class. So for a guy that's never competed to suddenly jump into the open class is huge, you know. Most people do juniors or stuff like that. Like, so I jumped straight into beginners, novice, and heavy. So we took second in novice against the guy who was a teammate at the time, and he looked phenomenal. So I placed second to him. And then heavyweight, I placed 5th. So as an open bodybuilder for the first time, like, that to me was like beyond expectation. You know, I wasn't expecting to place. Obviously you aim for first, but it's my first time, you know, and I was dieting for 10 months, which I know is nothing compared to what you've been doing. So my point is, when I competed last time, not that I felt it, but without realizing, my body was probably very tired, you know. So I probably would have been a lot better if I dieted for 30 weeks. Who knows? You can't gauge that, you know. But what I'm trying to say is now, it's almost like it's like another time that it's the first time I'm stepping on stage again to my true potential, because I've had an off season. I've had everything absolutely textbook, with a huge surplus, huge off season, lots of heavy dense lifting. So the goal this year is just to become a decent heavyweight. Within the next 2 years, win a heavyweight class, and then that could potentially turn me pro. But like, I'm not gonna kid myself. Like, within bodybuilding, like, there's a lot to give up. You're giving up certain aspects of your health, like financially, like it's like with bodybuilding, you know. and to the extreme that I've got to get at. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a small guy now, you know, I've got to be big. So if it was putting my health at risk towards the back end of my 30s and I wasn't pro, then I've got more things in my life than bodybuilding, you know. I eat, sleep and breathe bodybuilding, but I appreciate life too much to chase a dream that's never going to happen. Yeah. Having said that, I remember someone similar to my physique, similar to my age, put up a story about turning pro within the next year. And I messaged my coach straight away. I was like, Jace, don't BS me. Could I turn pro? And he was just like, mate, with your ability and your work ethic, 2 or 3 years, you could turn pro. So ever since that, it's just like, okay, Dad.
He's probably forgotten he said that now.
I would like to turn pro in the long run and then go from there. From a business perspective, just push up as much as possible. I love business just as much as I love bodybuilding, you know, so we just keep pushing. In terms of a brand, I definitely want to sort of, I always done clothing, you know, but me and my sort of best friend, / he works for me a little bit as well. He's had a lot to do in my progress, and we're just sort of sorting out a new clothing range and pushing that more. And then probably do accessories like shakers and that. So from a business and bodybuilding perspective, just push up and up and up. That's my goals really. I could be a lot more detailed, obviously bring figures into it, but in terms of like overall rough breakdown of my goals, turn pro by the time like 3 or 4 years maybe, we'll see. And just continue business, just push up and help as many people as I can at a decent level. And just keep doing what I'm doing, but at a high level, probably similar to you, you know.
Yeah. I've got you. So if somebody wants to come to you for coaching, how can they find you?
So Instagram at Will George Fitness. That's where I get 99% of my inquiries. Instagram. So at Will George Fitness, willgeorgefitness.com is also my website. DM, my phone number's on there as well. Text me, but mainly DM through Instagram. And through the website, you can get a hold of me. Obviously, we've got YouTube as well. I don't mind my YouTube name offhand. You'll have to just YouTube Will George Fitness. It'll come up, you know. I've always taken on new clients, you know, for the foreseeable. Obviously, it's a full-time job. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can balance quite a few people at a very high standard as well. The minute I saw my standard slip in coaching by 0.1%, I'd cap it, you know. But now for the foreseeable, I'm more than happy with what I'm doing. And obviously, as you know, as bodybuilders, everything's to a T. So with work, it doesn't bother me doing crazy amount of hours or like, you know what it's like, mate. Like, what's your day off? It's just like, I don't have a day off, mate.
So, and you coach men, women, lifestyle, prep, anyone and everybody.
I literally, like, they won't mind me saying, because they're quite open about their progress. Like, people that have managed to get on top of stuff like anorexia and stuff like that, and then have come on board with the team and have completely changed their lifestyle. I've got certain clients that had a very unhealthy relationship with food and just overall life with drugs, alcohol, etc. And they come on board, and I'm not saying I'm a miracle worker, but they come on board, and within the fitness, within the training, within the diet, every aspect of life just pushes up. And before you know it, they've spanned their life around. Their business is going better. Everything's just increasing. And so you know what it's like, mate. This lifestyle is golden for progress. Like everyone, like 99% of people on bodybuilding that compete to a certain level, like progress, we thrive off it, you know. So coach anyone, you know, just drop me a message and we'll hop on a consultation within probably 24 hours of the message and just dial down your goals specifically to you, where you want to be, how you're going to get there, how many times a week you can train, what other commitments you've got, what level you want to be at.
Okay. So quick fire round at the end now. Favorite guilty pleasure food?
I don't think you were going to say food. I thought it was going to be just guilty pleasure then. So food, probably pizza. I'm a sucker for Domino's, you know, especially in prep. So we spoke about this, didn't we? Like in prep, Jace does sort of cheat meals rather than refeeds. With me anyway, do you know what I mean? My metabolism's dead quick. One thing with me, my digestion, touch wood, my digestion always been golden. So stuff like pizza usually mucks people's stomach up in prep, etc. I hammer them all day. So, and just to make it worse, pineapple on pizza all day.
We're not friends. We are not friends.
Exactly.
What's wrong with you?
A decent person before that.
Pineapple on pizza.
Have you tried it?
It's grim. What are you on about? Look, pizza, nice. Pineapple, nice. Not together.
I tried it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cookie.
I'll let you off.
Okay, favorite place you've been in the world?
LRF. I don't know. That's probably the true answer, you know. In terms of location, yeah?
Yeah.
I love the Isle of Wight, like where I come from. Like, people from the island don't appreciate what they've got because, so the island's quite a small place, and a lot of people are sort of born and bred in the island, don't really leave it. Like, you get a mixture of people on the island, driven people, non-driven people, people that want to progress crazy, people that don't. And like, I like the Isle of Wight. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've been there as well, haven't you?
Yeah. By the way, this is the slowest quick fire round ever.
Actually, oh yeah. So yeah, Isle of Wight, straight up home.
Right. Okay. Favorite stage pose?
Front lat spread.
Okay. And do you have a greatest of all time bodybuilder?
Myself isn't an answer, is it? Probably Nathan Diasha.
Yeah.
Quality, mate.
Nice. Good. Do you think he'll be Mr. O?
If nothing gets in the way of him, yeah. Like, because he hasn't competed for what, 2 or 3 years now. Like that, like the physique is just so unique. No one's got that physique. Like Phil Heath, like they're similar to other people. No one's got Nathan's physique.
Would you mean in terms of like his structure or?
All day. Oh, in terms of muscle mass, obviously everyone holds tons of muscle mass, you know, but in terms of structure and his shape, like you might be able to, like you tell me right now, like a bodybuilder that's got the same structure as Nathan. I can't.
No. Don't know. I would say that the top guys are more individual though.
Yeah, no, 100%. But just Nathan, I think, like high inserted lats, but it's so pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Usually stuff like high inserted lats, like people don't like that, and yet Nathan just looks so gnarly.
Not on high lats on a bodybuilder. No, high lats on a bikini girl. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really. I find that really interesting.
I've got high lats. Maybe I should jump in bikini.
I think. Oh, you made your calling now. Shiny bikini all the way. Oh dear. Okay, so if people want to get hold of you, they will go on your Instagram, Will George Fitness.
I like the way you say they will, as in it's instructed.
Yeah, you must.
Follow me up, DM me. Yeah.
And if they don't, well, there we are.
Not. It's part of the rules.
If nothing else, message him to make fun of his yellow car at the moment. But other than that.
So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, not that I've posted it out of like goodwill. I've got a rental car for 2 weeks and it's bright yellow and it's a Citroen, and I look like an absolute baller in it. You
do, yeah. Bumble baller.
Does it get worse every time we bring it up?
I know. To be fair, when this comes out, I bet you won't have that car anymore, so nobody will know.
She's chatting shit. I don't know what you're on about.
Oh,
When are you posting this?
Huh?
When are you posting this?
I don't know. Like
Today?
No, this week. This week I do it this week.
I still have the car.
I'll put a photo in.
My day was going so well, Rosie.
Oh dear. Well, thank you for coming on.
That point, the yellow car.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, I will tell everyone how to get hold of you.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, Will.
So much for having me. Thank you so much.
Catch you later.